Hello, viewers, and welcome to the latest episode of the GA Huddle. I'm with Sequoyah Simermeyer, chairman of the NIGC. Sequoyah, thanks very much for joining me.
Thanks for having us. Thank you.
It's a pleasure to speak to you today in particular because you just released the FY22 results for tribal gaming. Could you please just give us, to start off with, a little overview or walkthrough of what those numbers had?
Sure. Well, we had the opportunity to announce at the Chickasaw Nation in the southern part of Oklahoma the gross gaming revenue for fiscal year 22. And we were happy in our report to be able to announce that it was a historic high for the Indian gaming industry at $40.9 billion.
How do you reflect on those record results? And I imagine with immense pride.
Well, I think particularly for tribal leadership and tribal operations and their citizens, it's definitely an enduring point of pride in many communities. One of the things that makes Indian gaming distinct from other parts of the gaming industry is that within the Indian Gaming Regulatory Act that sets out the framework for Indian gaming today, it provides that there are specific governmental uses and support for the strength of tribal governance from Indian gaming. And so with the growth of the industry in Indian gaming is the growth of opportunities to better meet the community needs and tribal governmental needs within each community.
Mm-hmm. What's something I'm particularly wondering about? Can you talk us through exactly what's making tribal gaming really thrive right now? Because if you look at those results, obviously there was a dip during the pandemic, that was unavoidable, but the results now are so much higher than the years leading up to the pandemic, and certainly there are in some areas in America where in some states commercial gaming hasn't quite flown as highly. And basically, in short, my question is there a kind of secret sauce? What are the tribal operators getting right?
I think that for a few decades now, as you said, there's been steady growth in Indian gaming, with a few exceptions, including the kind of unprecedented impact of the pandemic. I think, again, one of the things that makes Indian gaming unique is the importance of Indian gaming as a vital resource for tribal government and its community. So it creates, I think, a strong dedication for multi-generational success in terms of Indian gaming's growth. And so I think that speaking only to Indian gaming, I think has been an important part of how it's been growing now for a number of decades. I think that I'm sure, as in other parts of other industries, they've also continued to use the pandemic as an opportunity to sort of reassess operational procedures and find local solutions to strengthen both in the commercial and Indian gaming industries, as we've seen. But I think the tribal governmental revenue nature of Indian gaming has been an important part over many years of its success.
Sure, no, that makes a lot of sense in terms of the drive and the need for people to collaborate. And I definitely take your point about maybe some reassessment during the pandemic as well. Did any regions in particular sort of surprise you in a positive way as well? Were there some regions where actually the gaming revenues were even higher than maybe some anticipated?
Just from our regulators' perspective, I can't say that necessarily there are any surprises in terms of what the revenue was. I mean, I know that of the 8 regions within the NIGC, which are set for administrative purposes, not necessarily reflections of markets, 7 of those regions had increases. The one region with a decrease, I think it can be attributable perhaps to local circumstances, openings and closings that may have shifted that, and we've seen that in past years from year to year. That might have an impact, but even that region, all regions have been growing since, as you mentioned, above rates from what was the revenue before the pandemic. I think a lot of what we, as from a regulator's perspective, are seeing, there's a commitment across many tribal communities to look at and make sure the workforce is ready and prepared for the next generation of gaming, and whether that's through supporting workforce development or looking strategically at assessing its risk and where they can grow. That's something we're seeing, I think, across all parts of Indian gaming.
Absolutely. A couple of sort of closing questions that will look forward. Given the significant growth and the record growth for the financial year 22, what is the kind of outlook for 2023? Because obviously, we're in 2023 at the moment, but looking ahead to 2024 as well, not too far ahead, of course, are you expecting similar kind of growth? You know, what is what can you project on the horizon?
You know, we can't predict too much, you know, at a time. I know that for what has had the opportunity to see this taking place in the regulatory community. Again, there's that reinvestment in a strong workforce, readiness, and assessment from tribal leadership as to what types of new opportunities they want to consider. That continues to be something that, you know, we see. And from a regulator's perspective, it's important for us to you know, aim for our regulatory role to be efficient and effective in meeting our mission and protecting tribal assets, so that, you know, we don't stand in the way of growth, and we provide adequate guidance and tools in the regulatory side to meet our mission to protect gaming assets. So we continue to see a lot of that, and whether it's with new technologies or new platforms, that's kind of what I'm seeing in Indian gaming as continuing to be kind of a point of attention.
Absolutely, and a final closer from me. I take your point about you can't predict too much. You know, we never expect guests to kind of have a crystal ball, because you never know what will happen. But will there, you know, given this record growth, might it be a little bit of a challenge for tribal gaming to kind of continue this level of growth? Can we expect maybe a kind of a little leveling out or ceiling maybe at some point over the next couple of financial years?
I think from the independently audited financials that we receive and process as part of the gross gaming revenue report that's available online, I think you can see sort of the multi-decades now trend of growth each year, with a few exceptions in those years being kind of a historic number. So it's difficult to say and predict, you know, what kind of lies ahead there. I think we can only kind of you know, make the assessments based on the types of revenue information that we have and that we collect from tribes. But I think that the trend for many years now has been, you know, with those exceptions, including the pandemic, has been a strong one that's created historic numbers year after year.
Sure, yeah. So still positive, and there may well be more to come in the years to come.
Yeah, definitely a possibility, I think.
Brilliant. Well, Sequoyah, thank you very much for your time. I know your time is valuable, and congratulations to the whole tribal community on, you know, an outstanding set of results.
Thank you.
Thank you.